Hey everybody, Nathan Baird from the Journal and Courier with our Over and Back recap. We'll C&C Music Factory to celebrate Purdue's 64-59 victory over Penn State here at the Big Ten Tournament quarterfinals at United Center. So now Purdue moves on to face Wisconsin. Today was important because you would presume that this game, and we won't know for sure until Sunday, you presume that this is enough to get them into the NCAA tournament. There aren't any losses left that could derail that, and there are some big wins that could still help them, and starting with tomorrow at noon when they tip off against the Badgers. They faced Wisconsin once earlier this year and played a really strong game against them, but weren't able to come out on top. One reason because they sent Wisconsin to the free throw line so much. But this is a very different team than it was at that point of the year. Defensively, they've kept improving throughout the season, throughout the conference season. Matt Painter said today, we might have been the worst defensive team in the league in the non-conference, and now we might be the best, and that's such a turnaround and a credit to Raphael Davis and John Octius and AJ Hammonds and what they've done this season. So I think that could be something that Wisconsin isn't necessarily prepared for. They haven't quite seen Purdue back at the level of defense that it's playing this season. They also haven't seen AJ Hammonds playing the way that he did down the stretch. The first time they played them, AJ was still kind of coming around, hadn't quite locked into that, the consistency that he's shown in the past, the other 2/3, 3/4 of the conference season. Really, it was just after that whole, sequence, maybe a couple weeks after that Penn State game, that he seemed to kind of turn things around and get it going. And that's big, especially because the toughest matchup for any team that plays Wisconsin is going to be Big Ten Player of the Year, Frank Kaminsky. And I think that's going to be a matchup that a lot of people are looking at tomorrow, is how does Kaminsky, who we know is an NBA player, the Big Ten Player of the Year, consensus pick, how does AJ Hammonds fare against him? And then on top of that, Isaac Haas wasn't really productive today. He had a tough time against Penn State, especially they came, early on playing pretty physical, and I don't know if he responded that well to that early on. How is he going to come back tomorrow and back up Hammonds and maybe be a guy who can help wear Kaminsky down and open some things up for AJ down the line, or vice versa? Can they work in tandem and together be better than what Wisconsin's putting out in the post? Still a lot at stake for Purdue tomorrow. If they were able to win, not only does it get them in the Big Ten championship game, which I think is their number one goal at this point, but it potentially helps for that NCAA seed. Everyone has them on kind of that 11 line or being in Dayton, at least before today's game. And today I think they probably inched up a little bit more, but a win tomorrow changes a lot of things. Now you've got a win against one of the best teams in the country on your resume, and now you start talking about, are we in the mix for an 8-9 type situation? I know there's fans who are not in favor of that and would prefer that Purdue avoid it, but I think you can't really worry about what's happening in the Sweet 16, especially when you were in last place in the Big Ten last year. I think you want to put yourself in the best situation to succeed, and that happens if they can keep winning and if they can win tomorrow against Wisconsin.